Before social media. Before streaming. Before viral fame. There was Michael Jackson. A single figure who could command the entire planet's attention with one move. He wasn't just famous, he was unavoidable. From sold-out stadiums to remote villages watching on small television sets, Michael became a global phenomenon unlike anything seen before. His music crossed race, language, and political borders. To supporters, he was a once-in-a-century genius who reshaped pop culture. To critics, he was a manufactured spectacle amplified by media obsession. But whether loved or questioned, one truth remains: Michael Jackson dominated the world stage so completely that ignoring him was never an option. Michael Jackson's story didn't begin with choice, it began with expectation. As the youngest standout in the Jackson 5, his talent was undeniable, but so was the pressure surrounding it. Rehearsals were relentless. Perfection was demanded. Childhood blurred into performance schedules, studio sessions, and global tours. Supporters see discipline that forged greatness. Critics see a boy shaped by intensity too heavy for his age. Fame arrived before identity had time to form. Applause replaced normal adolescence, and while the world celebrated a prodigy, few stopped to ask what it costs a child to become a global symbol before becoming himself. Michael didn't just succeed, he shattered limits. Thriller didn't merely top charts. It rewrote what global success looked like. Music videos became cinematic events. Dance became storytelling. Sound became spectacle. Supporters argue he democratized pop, blending R&B, rock, and soul in ways that dissolved racial barriers on mainstream platforms. Critics countered that the industry amplified him beyond proportion, turning innovation into obsession. Yet the numbers remain undeniable: sales records, awards, world tours, cultural impact. He wasn't following trends, he was creating them. In breaking records, he broke boundaries too, forcing the world to reconsider what a pop star could be. Titles aren't given, they're built. The name King of Pop wasn't just marketing. It was the result of calculated reinvention, relentless work, and unmatched showmanship. Michael studied performance like a scientist studies formulas. Every gesture, every vocal run, every pause was intentional. Supporters see a visionary crafting a legacy step by step. Critics argue the crown was inflated by hype and media machinery. But dominance at that scale doesn't happen by accident. Through precision, ambition, and risk, he positioned himself above peers in an era filled with stars. The crown may be debated, but the impact that earned it is not. Fame didn't just elevate Michael Jackson, it transformed his entire existence. Success at that magnitude reshaped how he moved, spoke, and even trusted. Privacy became a luxury he could no longer afford. Every appearance sparked headlines. Every silence created speculation. Supporters argue that such pressure would distort anyone's life. Critics suggest fame magnified traits already present. Either way, superstardom altered the balance between the man and the myth. Normal interactions turned into global narratives. Curiosity became intrusion, and as the spotlight intensified, the space between Michael the person and Michael the phenomenon grew wider, changing everything about how the world and perhaps he himself saw him. As fame intensified, so did the scrutiny. Michael's appearance changed. His voice remained soft. His lifestyle grew increasingly unconventional. To supporters, these were signs of sensitivity, trauma, and artistic uniqueness, a man shaped by pressure and fame. To critics, they were red flags, symbols of instability or calculated mystique. Was he reinventing himself creatively, or retreating from reality? The line between eccentricity and expression blurred under constant media attention. Every choice became a headline, every detail analyzed. In a world quick to label difference as abnormal, Michael stood at the center of debate: misunderstood, visionary, or something harder to define. The headlines grew louder. The cameras stayed longer. The questions became sharper. What began as fascination slowly transformed into relentless pursuit. Tabloids dissected his friendships, his appearance, his private life, turning speculation into front-page certainty. Rumors spread faster than facts, and every silence was treated as suspicion. Supporters saw a man hunted by fame, trapped inside a narrative he could not control. Critics argued that controversy followed him for a reason: television debates, flashing paparazzi lights, sensational stories. The media storm did not simply report on Michael Jackson. It reshaped his image in real time, blurring truth and spectacle for the entire world to watch. Then came the accusations, shocking, deeply serious, and impossible to ignore. Courtrooms prepared for legal battles, but outside, another trial was already underway. Television panels debated his character. Newspapers printed and verified claims beside bold headlines. In the court of public opinion, verdicts formed instantly. Supporters insisted on due process, reminding the world that allegations are not convictions. Critics argued that patterns and rumors could not be dismissed. As legal proceedings unfolded, reputation shifted in real time. For many, the question was no longer just about guilt or innocence, it was about trust, fame, and whether a global icon could ever receive a fair judgment. Even at the height of controversy, millions refused to turn away. Fans organized rallies, defended him online, and pointed to acquittals and inconsistencies in accusations. To them, Michael was not a headline, he was the soundtrack of their childhood, the voice of unity, the artist who broke racial barriers on global stages. They argued that fame made him a target, that media narratives overshadowed facts. His humanitarian work, donations, and messages of healing were cited as proof of character. For supporters, belief was not blind loyalty. It was rooted in years of music, memories, and a conviction that the full story was far more complex. For every defender, there was a critic asking questions that refused to vanish. Why the secrecy? Why the unusual friendships? Why the constant media attention around his private life? Skeptics argued that talent alone didn't shield him from accountability, and that the patterns of behavior demanded scrutiny. Every new project, appearance, or change in lifestyle reignited debate. Supporters dismissed them as obsession or jealousy, but critics insisted on digging deeper, seeking clarity beyond the performances and the headlines. In the world of fame and fortune, controversy is often inseparable from legacy, and for Michael Jackson, the questions lingered unanswered, persistent, and shaping how history would remember him. Living as the world's most famous entertainer came with a hidden price. Childhood stolen by relentless schedules, constant scrutiny, and impossible expectations left lasting scars. Every decision was magnified. Every misstep became global news. Supporters emphasized the loneliness, the isolation, and the pressure to maintain perfection, suggesting that genius often comes with sacrifice. Critics argued that fame doesn't excuse eccentricity or questionable choices, yet few can imagine the weight of living under a microscope from age 5. Michael's life illustrates the invisible pull of superstardom, extraordinary success paired with extraordinary pressure, where the line between personal well-being and public expectation was almost impossible to maintain. Michael Jackson was constantly reinventing himself musically, visually, and personally. Each transformation drew admiration and suspicion in equal measure. Supporters saw innovation, creativity, and an artist unafraid to evolve. Critics saw calculated theatrics or distancing from reality. Isolation grew alongside fame, as public attention made private life nearly impossible. Every change, from fashion to music style, became a headline. The world watched closely, forming judgments before understanding. Reinvention became both a shield and a spotlight, protecting him while amplifying scrutiny. For Michael, the line between self-expression and public expectation blurred, leaving him celebrated, misunderstood, and often alone in the very life he had crafted. The court cases shook the world, forcing fans and critics into opposing camps. Supporters highlighted acquittals, inconsistencies, and the relentless media pressure, defending him as a victim of fame. Critics focused on allegations, patterns, and unanswered questions, claiming that legal outcomes didn't erase doubt. Social media, tabloids, and news outlets became battlegrounds, where opinion often outweighed facts. The trials weren't just legal. They were cultural events, shaping public perception and redefining his legacy in real time. For Michael Jackson, the courtroom became a mirror of his entire life, a place where admiration, suspicion, love, and criticism collided in ways no superstar had ever faced. Michael Jackson's death did not settle the debates that reignited them. Supporters celebrate his revolutionary music, unparalleled influence, and charitable work, crowning him as the king of pop for eternity. Critics question whether his personal controversies and unresolved allegations should overshadow his artistry. The discussion extends across generations, with younger fans discovering his work and forming opinions, while older ones cling to memories and judgments. In a world where legacies are continually reassessed, Michael's story is a paradox, immortalized for brilliance yet forever scrutinized for controversy. Decades after his rise, Michael Jackson continues to divide opinions. Supporters praise his groundbreaking music, unmatched performances, and influence on pop culture. Critics remain focused on controversies, unanswered questions, and allegations that never fully faded. Social media and documentaries keep the discussion alive, while new generations weigh legacy against personal conduct. His story challenges us to separate art from the artist, or accept that some questions may never have clear answers. Michael's life and career remain a